Ben, who is a senior citizen at the age of 70, created a video resume to apply for an internship that he saw advertised. The advertisement requested that seniors apply for the internship by submitting a video explaining why they should be hired. In his video, Ben introduced himself as a widower living a comfortable life. However, he expressed a desire to be more productive and to do something meaningful. As a result of his video, he received a call inviting him for an interview. Jules Ostin runs a company named About the Fit. She started the company from her kitchen, and it sells clothes on the internet. In only 18 months, the company has grown and now has over 200 employees. At the start, we observed Jules talking to a customer who is upset about the bridesmaids' dresses being the wrong color. Jules says it's her fault, tries to assist the bride, assures to solve the problem, and even shares her own number. She rides a bike around her workplace and is often too busy to acknowledge colleagues' birthdays or chat with her mom. During his interview with several people, Ben tells them that he used to work for a company that created phone books. One of the interviewers asks him where he sees himself in the next 10 years and then realizes that it's not really relevant to the job. The interviewer compliments Ben on his interview and video, but also mentions that he seems too qualified for the position. Jules's colleague Cameron tells her that Ben will be her intern. They both had agreed to have him as part of the outreach program a few months ago. Jules asks how long she will have to work with him, and is told that it's a minimum of 6 weeks. She has to make a good impression on him because he is an example for the program. On his first day of work, Ben makes sure to dress really well. Jason introduces him to 3 other interns, including a young man named Davis and 2 senior citizens, one of them being Doris. Davis sets up his desk with a lot of gadgets, while Ben only has basic stationery, a simple calculator, and a watch. The other workers are nice and assist him in starting his computer. Jules's assistant, Becky, tells him that he has a meeting with Jules scheduled for 3:55 p.m. He needs to be on time because there is another meeting at 4 p.m. Becky advises him to talk quickly and blink frequently because Jules gets uncomfortable with people who don't. During the meeting, Jules tells him that there isn't much work for him to do currently, but she will contact him if something comes up. He doesn't receive any communication from Jules for a few days. Despite that, he keeps himself busy by learning how things work and becoming familiar with the technology. He assists others when he can. Additionally, he gives practical advice to the younger interns when they require it. For example, he tells Jason to speak directly to Becky about cheating on her instead of sending evasive text messages that get no response. His initial email task is from Becky, who asks him to get Jules's jacket cleaned. She accidentally spilled soy sauce on it, and Jules is wearing it, so he needs to retrieve it from her. In the workplace, Cameron tells Jules that their investors feel that About the Fit is progressing too quickly, and a more experienced CEO could handle the situation better and maintain their success. Ben hears this conversation. Jules appears upset at the idea of having a boss, despite acknowledging that they have issues. Cameron suggests that she examine the list of potential CEOs they have and take her time to meet with them and choose one. Ben becomes more noticeable in the office, particularly after receiving recognition for his excellent performance by ringing a bell, which is a common practice to acknowledge good work. He tidies up a desk that is usually a mess and has been irritating Jules. Fiona, the office masseuse, gives him a massage, and it's clear that he is attracted to her. Davis even hands him a magazine to cover his lap, indicating that he is not as old as Davis believed. One day, Ben observes that the driver who drives Jules around is drinking while on the job. He advises the driver to inform Jules he cannot drive, otherwise he will have to reveal the truth. Ben takes over the driving duties. Jules tells him that she cannot sit in the front seat, and she will be making private phone calls in the back seat. She asks Ben to keep the information discussed during these calls confidential. Jules's first call is from her mother, who tells her that women who don't sleep enough are more likely to gain weight. Jules and her mother don't have a good relationship. After that, Jules calls Cameron and informs him that she will be meeting one of the CEOs from the list. During the meeting with the CEO, Cameron doesn't think Jules is making enough effort to choose a new CEO for their company. Meanwhile, Ben notices that Jules hasn't eaten and gets her a cup of soup. On the way back to her house, Ben advises Jules to rest more and remember that she built the company from scratch. Jules is at home with her daughter Paige and her husband Matt, who stays at home to take care of their daughter. Jules seems disappointed that the CEO thing did not work out. Matt is very involved in taking care of their daughter, and Paige looks happy and loved. Jules falls asleep in her daughter's bed, and when she goes back to her own bed, Matt is already asleep and too tired to have sex. The next morning, Becky calls Ben and tells him that Jules's driver is not answering her phone, so he needs to go pick her up. When Ben arrives, Matt invites him in for coffee while they wait for Jules. Matt's daughter Paige and he seem to like Ben. While waiting, Ben quietly watches the family dynamics at home and at the school playground, where the other moms seem to judge Jules for being a busy career woman who is dropping off her daughter. Later, Jules handles a situation at the warehouse, and Ben appears to be impressed. Ben visits Fiona at her office, and she gives him a foot massage. Suddenly, Davis enters the room and, from his angle, mistakes what he sees for Ben receiving oral sex. Davis quickly leaves the room. Meanwhile, Lewis needs to deliver a package to an address he thinks may belong to Jay-Z, and Ben gives him fashion advice. Jason also seems to have made progress with Becky after taking Ben's advice and talking to her. Jules stays late at work one day, and Ben waits for her on his computer, ready to take her home. When Jules arrives, she brings pizza and sits down to talk and eat with Ben. He asks her about a meeting she had with another CEO that didn't go well. Ben tells Jules about his previous job, which was in the same building before phone books were no longer used. They become closer and Jules helps Ben set up his Facebook account, and they become friends on the platform, learning more about each other in the process. The day after, Doris arrives to give a ride to someone. The shortest time she had to work with a beginner, which was 6 weeks, has ended, and Ben has been moved. Doris is 72 and cannot drive, so Jules takes over and calls Cameron to bring Ben back. She finds Ben in a coffee shop buying coffee for his new job. She assists him, says sorry, feels relaxed around him and suggests he take his old job back. She also relocates him near her workspace beside Becky. Becky starts crying because she feels like she has too much work to do and is afraid of the new changes. She has a degree in business from Penn, but she thinks she's not good at anything. Jason tries to make her feel better by giving her Ben's hanky, and Ben talks to her to calm her down so that she doesn't feel intimidated by him. Ben starts sharing smart ideas and shows that he has helpful experience. Jules trusts him with more and more important tasks, which makes Cameron surprised. Ben also acknowledges Becky's ideas and degree, which motivates Jules to compliment Becky. Davis, who had to leave his parents' house by a certain time, says he's going to stay with his cousin in Philadelphia. Ben offers him a place to live in his own house because he realizes that Davis will have a long commute. Davis is impressed by Ben's house and clothing, particularly his love for handkerchiefs, which he thinks are essential for gentlemen to have. The following morning, Matt declines to go with Jules to San Francisco because Paige has school activities that she is excited about. Jules has a problem at work, and a call from her mom makes her upset. She writes an angry email to Matt about her mom, but mistakenly sends it to her mom instead. She asks her coworkers for help in resolving the situation. Ben offers to go to Jules's mother's house and remove the email from her laptop before Jules gets off work at 5:30 p.m. Jason, Davis, and Lewis go with him, and after some difficulties, they succeed in deleting the email. That evening, Jules takes them out for drinks and gets to know them for the first time. Jules drinks too much and throws up in a trash can outside. In the meantime, Ben and Fiona have become close. He invites her to a funeral of their friend, and they consider it their first official date. The next morning when Ben goes to pick up Jules, he discovers that Matt is ill, and Paige is upset about going to a party with a babysitter, so he decides to take her instead. He defends Jules's career and professionalism in a respectable manner in front of some gossipy moms, implying that it was also their accomplishment that one of their own achieved so much success. Paige doesn't feel good, so they leave the party early. However, Ben discovers that Matt was pretending to be sick to see another mom, with whom he is having an affair. While Paige is sleeping, Ben drives around the neighborhood, waiting for Matt's return. He drops off Paige when Matt comes back home. Matt asks for Ben's opinion on the CEO's situation and hopes that it will be beneficial for them. However, Ben tells him that a CEO won't be able to fix the problems in their household. Matt appears uneasy, but later at the office, where Jules is finally included in a coworker's birthday celebration, Ben's blood pressure rises, and his colleagues express concern for his well-being. The following day, they fly to San Francisco. Jules notices that Ben is avoiding eye contact and blinking frequently, which makes her suspect that he's hiding something. When she confronts him, he confesses that he's a sentimental person despite his tough appearance, and suggests that they enjoy their first-class flight together. Later that night, a fire alarm goes off in their hotel, and Ben walks Jules back to her room. Jules seems lonely and asks him to come inside. They start talking about Ben's past marriage, and eventually, Jules confides in him that she found out 18 days ago that Matt had been cheating on her. Ben informed Jules that he saw Matt and the other woman the previous day. Jules becomes emotional and cries. Ben comforts her and advises her to only hire the CEO if she wants to, not for anyone else's sake. He tells her that she can have both a successful career and a happy marriage. The day after, Jules meets the CEO and the meeting takes longer than usual. After the meeting, she tells Ben that she hired him right away even though the CEO suggested she should take time to think about it. When Jules gets back home, she informs Matt about the decision and tells him that it will be great for both of them. However, while taking a bath that night, Jules breaks down and shows that she is unhappy with her decision. Jules goes to visit Ben in the morning and is happy to see Davis and Fiona leaving his apartment. She tells him she still thinks hiring the CEO is the right decision. Ben remembers when they worked together and tells Jules that no one will have the same level of commitment to the company as she does, even if someone has more experience. He doesn't think giving up her company will solve the problem of her husband's affair, and tells her what she really wanted to hear. She agrees and adds that it's also because he is her best friend. The woman who called customer service at the beginning of the movie and was a bridesmaid in a wedding has sent Jules some photos and a thank you note. The CEO she met in San Francisco also sent her flowers. Jules speaks to the CEO on the phone and tells him she changed her mind about hiring him after talking to Matt. Matt walks in and tells her to make the decision that is right for her. Someone has more experience. Jules tells him she knows about his affair and they work things out. She decides not to hire the CEO and tells Ben, who is doing Tai Chi, that she changed her mind. She joins him in Tai Chi and finally relaxes,